Sara here from Girls Inc. Today we will be making our very own Constellation Viewers. All you will need is an old toilet paper roll, a sheet of paper, rubber band, scissors, and something sharp like a pencil or a push pin. Before we begin, I will be reading a book called Bright Sky, Starry City.
Bright Sky, Starry City. Phoebe helped Dad set up the telescopes outside the store. She added special effects: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Phoebe sang the planet names as she drew. She thought of them spinning on their axes, going round and round the sun, over and over, forever and ever. People hurried past, hugging themselves against the wind while Phoebe made her planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, spin on the sidewalk. Streetlights blinked on neon signs, flashed and flickered up in the sky. Something faint tried to glimmer through. "What's that star?" Phoebe asked. "Vega," said Dad. "Deneb?" It was hard to tell. "Where are Mars and Saturn?" said Phoebe. "Over in the west," said Dad. "If we were out in the country, we could see them. The city lights wouldn't swirl the night sky." But they were not in the country. "It's not fair," Phoebe said. She closed her eyes and wished for all the bright lights to disappear. All those blinking, flashing, glowing lights that sent pale fingers up into the sky. She longed for the city lights to go out, just for a while, just to give the night sky a chance. The wind whistled. A fat drop fell on Phoebe's nose, another in her hair, then more and more, splattering on the sidewalk. "Sorry, Phoebe," said Dad. "We'd better pack it in." Rain blurred the lights. Clouds blotted out the sky. Dad hurried Phoebe back into the shop. Phoebe peered through the window at the sidewalk solar system, dissolving into chalky streams. "Maybe we should just go home," Dad said. But Phoebe did not want to go home. She wanted a beautiful, inky black night. Lightning cracked the sky. Phoebe counted the seconds, 1 to 10. Thunder crashed. "Let's wait for the rain to stop," said Phoebe. "Could be a while," Dad warned. "What about Mars and Saturn?" said Phoebe. Dad just shook his head. Crash, boom! The echoes faded, but something had changed. Where were all the lights? Would the city suddenly darken? Phoebe and Dad sat in the store, listening to the rain. At last, at long last, the downpour slowed from torrent to shower to pitter-patter drip. Phoebe had never heard anything so glorious. When the last drops had fallen, the wind had died down and the last clouds were gone. Phoebe and Dad ventured outside. Above the newly washed city, with the power still out, glowing, sparkling, gleaming lights painted the sky, some faint, some brilliant, some clustered together, and some scattering fiercely through the inky darkness. Stars in the hundreds, some in constellations, that Phoebe had only ever seen in pictures. And there they were, right where they should be, two bright and steady points of light, Saturn and Mars, close to each other in the western sky. People milled around, talking, pointing, laughing, looking all at once, all together under the stars. Phoebe squinted through the telescope at Saturn dazzle, misty magical floating rings, and the faint dot of the planet's biggest moon. Somewhere in there, too far to spot, Phoebe imagined the rest of Saturn's many moons, including the small rocky one that she was named for. Dad turned the telescopes, focusing on one cluster of stars and then another. How deep the night was and how endless. Then, adjusting to the darkness, Phoebe saw something she'd never seen before. A pale, gauzy, whitish band low in the eastern sky. "What's that cloud?" Phoebe said. "The Milky Way," Dad said. "That's part of our galaxy you're looking at." Phoebe breathed in the night, with all its stars and planets. "What a bright, bright sky," she whispered. "It's a starry city, all right," Dad said, and it was. Soon the lights would come back on, and everyone would hurry off. But for a brief time, above the dark city, there was the bright night sky. The bright night sky with all the stars in their constellations and the planets wheeling in their orbits. The end.
We will now be working on our Constellation Viewers. Start by placing your toilet paper roll on your sheet of paper. Tracing the edge of your toilet paper roll, make your first circle. We are then going to draw a larger circle around this one. So when we cut it out, we'll be able to wrap this circle around our toilet paper roll. I'm going to trace 3 circles today to make a total of 3 constellation cards. Now that you've made your 3 cards, you're going to go ahead and cut out each of the large circles.
Constellations are a group of stars forming a recognizable pattern in the night sky. There are 88 different constellations in our sky, and depending on the time of year it is, you can see several of them on any given night. There are also a lot of great free apps you can download on your phone that will help you identify what's in the night sky.
Now that I've cut out my circles, I'm going to add my constellation points to each of my cards. We will be drawing our constellations backwards because once we add our circles to our Constellation Viewer, we will be looking at the back image of our drawing. So once we flip it over, we'll see the correct view through this lens. The first constellation I'm going to draw is called Ursa Major. This is also known as the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is a series of 7 stars. Follow along as I draw my stars on my first circle. We'll be using a sharp object to poke the holes later on once we add it to our viewfinder. Here's what the constellation Ursa Major or the Big Dipper looks like. The second constellation I will be drawing is called Andromeda. This is also called the Chained Lady. This constellation also consists of 7 stars. Follow along as I draw my stars. Here you have the final constellation. Our final constellation is Orion, or the Hunter. Orion has 8 stars in its constellation, with the 3 in the middle being commonly referred to as Orion's belt. Follow along as I draw my stars. Once you've finished drawing out your constellation, you're going to take one of your cards and place it on top of your toilet paper roll. You want to try to line up your inner circle with the edge of the toilet paper roll. Using a rubber band, you're going to rubber band the sides of the paper down. Now that your card is on top of your viewer, we're going to poke a hole in each of our star marks using a push pin. Or if you have a sharp pencil, that works too. So I will be poking 7 holes for the Big Dipper, 7 holes for Andromeda, and 8 holes for Orion. Once your holes have been poked, your viewfinder will now be able to be used. So looking through this back end, you're now able to see the formation of the constellation.
Hope you enjoyed today's activity, and thanks for joining. Bye!